Hello, hello. We are on for part 3 of our strawberry summer today. How was your weekend, everyone? Okay, I'm just checking, make sure all my settings are right. I'm going to bring it down a bit. Okay. Happy Monday, Cheryl. Oh my, 110. That's hot. I hope you're able to stay cool. And West Tennessee is hot too. We're actually kind of cold today. And our weekend was fair. It was, the weather wasn't bad at all. It was, just right, but it was a little windy. Yeah. We had a busy, busy weekend here at our place. So we're just kind of trying to get ourselves together and be ready today. Lots of stuff going on for us. And we have a family reunion coming up, which we're getting ready for. Hello, Diana from Southern California. It's overcast, a bit sunny in the high 70s. Nice. That's just perfect. And good morning from Las Vegas to you too. That's awesome, Joyce. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, you guys. We are on part 3 of our strawberry summer. We got all our base coating done. It looks beautiful. I'm so happy about that. I hope you were able to get, if you needed to, get caught up and you're ready to go. We're going to start with some colored pencils first. And then later we'll be adding some highlights to our design with paint. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to grab my stuff, a little bit of a few things, make sure my pencils are ready. So today you're going to need a few pencils. You'll need your pink, pomegranate, olive green, and blue slate. I'm looking at my pencils and nothing's matching up. Okay. Okay, well, I need to grab those. Here's blue slate. And there's 2 different pinks that Prismacolor puts out. They have a hot pink and then they have a regular pink. So you want the regular pink. It looks like this. It's more of a reddish pink than the hot pink. And pomegranate and olive green. Someone was asking me the other day, how do you store your pencils? And I've stored my pencils in so many different ways. I've done it all. And I found the thing that works best for me is just to use the drawers and just store them by color. Because I'm constantly using my pencils and it just became too much to try to get them back to where you know what I mean? Like, it's just easier to put it back in with the color group than try to have it all numbered and perfectly in order, by number. So I'm looking for my olive green and I'm looking for that. Come on, olive green. You're here. I know you are. I have a tiny little one, olive green. So yeah, that seems to be the easiest way for me to store my pencils is just have them in the drawers. They have these kind of wooden drawers that you can purchase on Amazon. And here's another one that's a little larger. And then I just do it by color, matching colors, and then just throw them in there. That just has proven to be the best thing for me. And I also put little labels on my drawers so I know what colors are in that drawer. So I'll say like Prismacolor pink or Prismacolor red or Prismacolor gray. And I just put all my grays together. Hey, Birdie. 58 degrees in Oregon. That's about where we're at too. We're on the same wavelength, Birdie. Hey, Sandy from Florida and Susie. Hello, hello. And Cheryl says she loves the drawers too. She got hers for Christmas. Oh, yeah. I just think they're easier, right, Cheryl? I've had booklets. I've had all that. I've had it all, but I just found it was so just difficult because there's so many. I just use my pencils so much. Then um, I'm constantly, trying to put them back in the right place. And it was, and then when I didn't have time, I wouldn't get them in. And then I'd have all these pencils scattered around. This way I can just throw them in there. I'm done. And then if I am traveling, it is kind of nice to have like some kind of booklet that you can put your pencils in. If I'm traveling, I will just take my palette that I'm using of pencils and put them in like a little notebook with zipper sleeves, and I put my project in there. It's kind of nice to have a notebook with plastic sleeves, have the nice heavyweight plastic sleeves in it, and then throw your project in there, especially if you're using like doing not something like this, but if you're doing like a project on watercolor paper, that works really good. So you have an easy way to protect your piece. And then you can have a little zipper sleeve or something like this to hold your pencils in, your eraser, even all your like little doodads, like your duster brush and stuff. And that can be for when you go on the go, when you're on the go. You're doing it in the car. And believe me, I've designed in the car before. Oh my gosh. I don't like to do that. I like to be done and not, but when push comes to shove and you have deadlines and there's just not enough time for everything. Sometimes you have to take it with you. Yeah, there is an did I say the wrong one? Olive green? Yeah, it is olive green. Yeah, olive green. There are 6 pencils altogether. So the first ones we're using today are pink, pomegranate, olive green, and blue slate. So Sandy's asking about, is there a certain type of drawers you're talking about? Is it a separate unit? They are like a little unit. I can't really show you where I'm sitting, but they're a unit and they're about, I want to say they're about maybe 16 inches long. They're long. And then each unit has 4 drawers and I got 2 units. So I have 8 drawers and it covers all the pencils that I have. So but you can get them on Amazon. I can share a link, or if any of you have the ability, you could share a link maybe. But yeah, Fun, fun, fun. It's a great yeah, that's a great Christmas present. Put on your Amazon wish list. Tell your family members, "This is what I want." Okay. Alright. So you didn't get olive green in your kit? That's interesting. Did you get the strawberry summer supplies? I'll have to check on that and see what's going on, but Liesl's usually pretty good, but maybe she missed there's 6 colors: blue slate, light umber, olive green, pink, pomegranate, sepia, and that was for the strawberry summer supplies, not the Bristol butterfly. It's strawberry summer. Okay. Alright, we're gonna get started. We'll check into that, Joyce. We'll check into that and see what's going on. In the meantime, if you have any other green pencil that's a little darker than your color here on your leaves, that will help you. Okay, so let's start out with our pink pencil. Love this color. It is my go-to pink. I love pink. I love this pink color. I'm gonna sharpen it. Okay, we're gonna shade the outer edge. I'm gonna just show you what it looks like on my original. So we're gonna shade this area right here. Do you see the pink on the edges? We're gonna do that. Okay. So we'll start over here. Hope you guys can see it. Okay, let's just make sure my light is good. Gonna bring it down. Okay. All right. So you're just gonna go back and forth, and I'm on the side here. Maybe just do half of it. I don't know. So a little more pressure for your dark value. A little more pressure, and see how I got it all the way across. And I'm not working over any of the brown. I'm just working on the purple. So that's my darkest value. That's the heaviest pressure. And then we're going to move out from there. I'm going in a circular motion, less pressure, and I'm blending from my dark value out and creating a medium value. So just take that color out a little bit more, and then we'll go into a light value. Let that light value just blend right into the background. So your light value should have very little pressure. When you press down on your pencil, it's just like a feather touch. It's just to bleed right out on and over your black background. So you end up with something like that. Now I think I'm going to erase a little bit of that because I think I went a little too far with it, but that's kind of the gist of where you're going with it. So I'm going to soften it with my eraser and then dust that off with my duster brush so you can see what you're doing. You're putting a tint of pink back there. That will help tie this in with this. Okay, so it doesn't look so like such a different color just hanging out there. It will help tie those two areas together. So I'm going to take about 2-inch swath and work on that. Medium value and light value. Try to get all those little, you're going to have like little nooks and crannies. You're not going to be able to cover everything perfectly because there is some texture going on with your wood and your paint, but you can try to fill in some of those little nooks and crannies a little bit, and then take your eraser to soften the edge. And then your duster brush to dust everything off. Get those pencil crumbs and the eraser crumbs off. Okay. Okay, just putting a little tint of pink. Okay, and then you just keep moving forward. Do another 2-inch area. And you should have more pressure right up against that corner where it meets with the brown. I feel like this color prettifies it. It makes it pretty. Okay, keep going. We had my sisters here yesterday. It was so wonderful. I don't get to visit with them very often, and so we got to have them over for a good visit yesterday. It was so great. My nephew um, had a special thing happen at church for him yesterday, so we kind of were celebrating, and it was awesome. And it's so funny, you can see sisters think alike. So I it was an impromptu get together. We didn't make plans for it. It just came together at the last minute, and I was thinking, okay, what am I going to feed everyone? And at first, I thought I could make maybe some potato soup or something in my instant pot. And then I came home and I didn't have enough potatoes. And so then I was like, okay, what else could I make? And I thought, oh, I'll make some chicken salad sandwiches. And I had some bread, but I didn't quite have enough. So I called my sister that lives next door and I was asking her if she had any bread. And she said, yeah, what are you making? I said, I'm making chicken salad sandwiches. She says, that's what we're making too. She was that was what she was gonna make and bring down. I was like, oh, well, we're totally on the same wavelength. And she's like, yeah. So she said, well, it's no big deal. We'll just, we'll have two different types of chicken salad sandwiches. So she brought that down and some bread and it all worked. Uh, okay. If you feel like it's a little strong, you can go back in. I do feel like mine is a little strong. I think I went overboard a little bit. So I'm just gonna softly erase some of it just to kind of soften it and make it not so strong. I want soft hints of pink. Okay. I think that's good. Okay. So, like, it was amazing that we were able to pull a meal together with Harlene. You know, notice we just pulled it together and then we were on the same wavelength. It was cute. But my nieces made cookies. It was great. We had chips. Okay, I am going to it's like shading, but it's I don't know, the color is a little lighter, so I guess technically it would be highlighting, but I'm gonna do the darker purple petals. We're gonna start at the base, and you always start out where your color is gonna be the heaviest, and that's right at the base. So you're gonna put a little more pressure right in there. And then you're gonna do your dark, medium, light. So I just did my dark, I'll go into my medium value and then my light value. And it's just a matter of pressure. Lighten up your pressure as you come out from the base of that petal. Okay, so you're gonna put a hint of pink there. This is tying in with your background here. So dark or heavy pressure, medium pressure, and then light, let it fade. And we'll do the same on the other purple flower. We're just working on the darker petals. Let it fade. When you get into the area where you fade, it should be just a feather touch of pressure on your surface. If you have a hard time getting that, you can use your eraser to soften the edges of your shading. Okay. And that's all you need to do with your pink. You can put your pink aside. The next color is pomegranate. This color. So we'll be working on the red areas. We'll be shading everything. We just kind of get everything darker and then we'll go in and make things lighter. So with the paint. It's a whole process. So just stay with me. Trust me, it will work out. It's fun. Okay, so pomegranate, we're going to work on, let's start with the hearts. They're smaller. So we want the bottom of this heart to be darker. So we're going to shade right in this area. That's going to be our dark value. And then go up a little bit. And this goes pretty quickly because it's just a small little area. So a little bit on both sides of that heart, dark, medium, and light. And you will kick up pencil crumbs. So always have that duster brush ready to start dusting away the pencil crumbs. I'm going to bring in the camera a little farther down so you can see better. Okay. All right. Let's go do our hearts over here. The same thing, it would be at the bottom of the heart, whatever's facing the bottom of our piece down here. So darkest value down at the tip on these hearts. Okay, and then also the bottom of the center of our little blue flowers. Oops. You always want to dust away your pencil crumbs just to make sure that nothing gets embedded in your work because it can get embedded in your work and then it's difficult to get off later. So just gently sweep those away. I like to use a soft brush. That way I'm not pushing the pigment around, and causing streaking with my pigment. We don't want the pigment to streak. No streaking. Okay, and then now we'll move on to our strawberries, and it's just the bottom of each strawberry. So we'll start out with this little one on the far left. Darker value down there. Get lighter and lighter as you move up into the strawberry. Like so. Can you see that okay? Okay. Next strawberry. This is my dark value. Okay. And then you just keep working through all your strawberries. Same way, working from the bottom. And if you're not comfortable going in this direction, you can always turn your piece over. Typically, I like to do that myself too, is just go dark from the top and then pull it towards yourself. It's a little easier, not so awkward to do that. So, hello, if you're coming in, you don't know what we're doing. This is mixed media, and we use paint and color pencil together on the same surface, and we get the best of both worlds. It's wonderful. So, we're using paint to create our opaque background in this particular piece, and we're using our color pencils to add the shading and enhance our work. We like to use the wax-based Prismacolor pencils. And I'm Erica Joanne from Erica Joanne Art. I have a website with lots of different choices available of different packets and kits, supplies that you need to paint and pencil with me. Okay. So those are all the red areas that we needed to do with our pomegranate pencil. Isn't that pencil just really lovely? I love that color. It's kind of like a magenta, a dark magenta. Olive green is next. So we'll be working with our olive green to do the inside or the little tips of our flowers, not the round area, but this base, I guess you could say, the base of our flower, of our leaves. I was saying flower petals. They look like flower petals. Maybe that's what I was thinking. So we'll go ahead and start shading the base of those leaves. It's darkest value right up at the base. So you put a little more pressure right there. and lighten your pressure as you come out. Let it fade into the background. And just work through each leaf like that. Most people that do the color pencils with me find it very relaxing. I do too. You can kind of get lost in your own little world as you're doing your color pencil work on your piece. Just, it is nice and relaxing. A little more pressure down at the base. Let it fade. If you have a hard time getting that fade, you just use your eraser and erase into the edges of your shading. 4th of July is coming up. Do you guys have any plans for the 4th? Are you looking forward to doing anything? When my mom was around, we'd a lot of times get together with my family or my husband's family. They both lived in the same area, in the same county. And so we would go to one or the other, or sometimes both. But those times are gone. The chapters have closed. My mom's passed, and my husband's mother is living down in Utah, so she's not in the same area anymore. So, and our kids have moved. So now we typically get together with my siblings, whoever is available. It's it's interesting how life changes like that. And sometimes you miss the years, the previous years. I do miss a few things. I miss being around my kids and some of the holidays. Don't get to be around them every holiday. Miss our get-togethers with everyone. We had a good time. We did a lot of fun stuff together. And 4th of July is a special time to get together with family. So, all right. So you want to get all those lighter color leaves shaded at the base. And then we're going to move in and add our vine. So we'll go do that first, but you want to make sure you have a nice sharp pencil. Since I'm right-handed, I start out at the left side of the design and move to the right. If you're left-handed, you might want to turn your piece over and go in that direction. You just want to make it so you're not always like covering what you've done, like your hand's not smearing everything. Another thing you can do is put a little piece of plastic over your piece so that you're not smearing as you go. So that's another little trick that you can use to keep things going right. Here's my piece of plastic. Sometimes you can get like just pieces of plastic in your packaging. So something like that that can help. So you're not like using your hand to smear across your piece, especially if your hand's warm, it can cause the pencil to smear. So, okay. So we're just going to follow the little etch line, or if you've transferred your piece, just follow your transferred lines to put in your stem there. And you see I got that first light coat in. I'm going to go back in and deepen the color a little bit and thicken it. I want it thicker right up against that flower. So it looks more like a flower stem there. You can go over again and darken the line a little bit. So make sure and take off those pencil crumbs. Now you'll see there's like a little texture. That's totally normal to have some texture going on around your different on your different pieces with the color pencil. It's actually very charming. I consider it very charming. So I love it. Okay, these etch lines right here are going to be painted, so we're going to leave those alone. There is a little etch line you don't want to miss right there that connects the heart. So I want to get that one. Oh, glad you found it, Joyce. That's good. Good, good. You have the right color. Okay. So also we want to do these there's like little vein lines in each leaf, and sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you won't. It will go like maybe above your shading a little bit. Okay. And just work in sections. Follow all those stem and vine lines, except for the ones that come from the purple flowers. Thicken up the lines that connect the strawberries and the flowers. Now I'm going to put a little bulb at the end of this curl, kind of thicken it up there, and then bring my pencil around and connect it to the strawberry, make it a little thicker at the strawberry. There we go. So Cheryl says they're going over to friends that evening to eat and watch the fireworks. There are usually about 75 people. It's the biggest fireworks show. It usually lasts about an hour. Wow, isn't that amazing, Cheryl? I remember our fireworks show back when we were kids, they'd never lasted that long. So they just keep getting bigger and bigger and better, right? And she says she definitely misses the years when her parents and kids were there, would go grill, go swimming, shoot off fireworks. They are fantastic memories. Oh, so agree. So agree. We did a lot too with our kids and with our loved ones. It was a special time. And it goes away so fast and things change so fast. Like it's it's kind of crazy to think about the chapters in our lives. They do change quickly. Okay. Now my son has a boat and they go out on the lake a lot over the 4th of July. Take the kids out and run them around the lake on the inner tubes. He always makes me nervous though. He gets a little crazy in that boat. Mama's hearts, we cringe sometimes, like, seriously? Don't drive so fast. Why are you driving so fast?" Mm, okay, here it goes, a little more. I'm gonna just turn my piece to make it a little easier on myself. Okay, I got that part. Let's see here, and this one last thing down here. If you have any trouble following that etched line, sometimes you can just kinda go in, don't go in so hard, just go in lightly and follow it, and just kinda get that muscle memory in there with it, and then you can go back over with a little more pressure. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my vein lines on my leaves. Okay. I use, it's called JarLink. Joyce is asking about my pencil sharpener. We do have these on our website. They look like this, and it's JarLink, and they have, one hole right here, and, it does the long shaving or not shaving. This is, the it makes your pencil crumbs instead of shaving. So, I really like it. It's not too loud, and it works pretty consistently, and I haven't had problems with my pencil breaking in it, which can be common in some pencil sharpeners. Okay, let's see here. All right. We could go slightly around our leaves with I think we will do that. Let's do that. We don't need to go over the whole around the whole leaf. We can just kind of slightly go around some of the leaf to add some definition. See how I did that right there? It's but I'm not gonna do the whole leaf, just here and there to add some definition around that leaf. Okay. I've tried lots of pencil sharpeners, and believe me, I like this one because it's been the best one for me. At the price point, you can pay a lot for a pencil sharpener, but the price point's not bad, and it does the trick. Okay, so a little slightly around each leaf, and we'll be done with our olive green pencil. Now we're moving into our blue slate business. Kathy Ferrara says we usually go to Independence, Missouri to visit our son for July 4th. As you can imagine, Independence takes their fireworks and celebrations very seriously for Independence Day. Oh my, yeah, they probably do. How fun. I've never been there for 4th of July. I think it would be kind of fun to go visit some of the different celebrations around the country. Like I said, our area does the fireworks from the bridge, and that is just a fabulous, fabulous show. The fireworks go up from the bridge and they go down, so they do like a waterfall effect going below the bridge, like from the bridge down into the water. It looks so cool. So that's been a fun thing here in the Bremerton, Port Orchard areas. There's also a fireworks show up in Port Townsend or Kingston and Paulsbo. I'm trying to think of all of it. Paulsbo has a great fireworks show too. There was one fireworks show we took the kids 2 years ago, and it was up in Kingston. And Kingston is there's a ferry that goes from Kingston to Seattle. But anyway, we were there watching the fireworks show, and we went down to the water, and the water had the bioluminescent now I can say it, bioluminescence. Did I say it right? Um, the glow in the water, it was so cool. So the kids had so much fun. They liked that better than the fireworks. It was so cool because all you do is just swish the water around and it creates this beautiful glow. It's fun. Okay. So blue slate is next. We're going to work on the little petals of our blue flowers, and that would be the inner petals. So I'm going to put my plastic up there. So we're going to just work on the inside of each petal like so. Dark, medium, and light on each petal. You want to leave some of the edge of the base coat on that petal showing. So, this lighter edge of the petal, you want to not cover everything with your shading. You want it to stop before you get to that edge. So you can see that nice light edge around the flower petals. Okay, so you're just adding a tint of blue to these petals. Your darkest value is right at the base of each petal, and just work on each one separately. Mhm. Okay. And then we have this third one here. All right. Okay, we also want to put a little tint of this blue under the tulip flowers. So in this area under the tulip flowers, we're going to do a little shading in the background with this blue, and then we'll be done with the blue pencil. So I'm going to move over to this one here. Sharpen my pencil again. And I'm tinting, you can kind of see that, this area. So you want to go inside those two petals, right in that area, between the two petals. That's your darkest value. And then bring it down past the flower a little bit into the background, and then let it fade into the background. And then also on the other side of the flower, so in between the other two petals, do the same. And bring that color out beyond the flower a little bit. Okay. It's hard to see on the camera, but it's there. It's there. It's just tough to see on the camera. The camera probably doesn't interpret that many colors. This is a color it doesn't interpret very well. Um, so darkest right in between those 2 petals, and then bring it down. And on the other side of the flower. Okay. All right. That's a fun color to add. Okay, for the next set of colors, we need light umber and sepia. So I'm gonna just set this here. You guys can finish up there while I'm grabbing my colors. Light umber and sepia. My light umber is constantly, I'm always having to go grab a new one because I'm always running out of this color. That is a great color. And then sepia. Sepia is another one that is a tough one for me to keep around. I might have to go grab that pencil. Well, here's my light umber. Here's my sepia. They were just sitting there. Okay, I got a nice long one. That's good. Okay, so yeah, light umber and sepia. Those 2 colors next. I was just watching a video. I'm just intrigued by it. I'm very curious individual. And I was watching a video. I'll have to tell you about it in a second. So it was about a couple that bought a cabin on a cruise ship and they live on the cruise ship. So I was just so curious about that. Like, how does that work? how how do you do that? So they told about their whole experience with it and how they've been on this cruise ship for a year and they've traveled around the world on it and how interesting it is. And sometimes they get chances to get off the cruise ship and go visit family, and then they'll fly back to the cruise ship, but their main home base is their cruise ship. And, so they even, like, told numbers and everything, like, how much they paid to do it. So they paid, 140,000 for their room, their cabin, and then they pay 4,000 a month on top of that. And that includes basically all their meals and even their laundry. There was something else it included, can't remember. Meals, laundry, I can't remember what the other one was. There was something else. But I thought that was interesting. They just decided they were gonna take an adventure, and it won't, probably for them, it won't be forever, but it's their thing, they do. Thought it was so interesting. Okay, grab your light umber pencil, and we're gonna reline portions of the stems just to kind of deepen the color on the stems, and and we'll repeat some of the shading, so we'll work on that a little bit, but let's go ahead and reline our stems a little bit just to deepen some of the shading on our stems or the lining. So right down here at the base, right next to your flower, you want to just add a little bit of this sepia color, or not sepia, this is light brown or light umber, sorry. Oh my goodness, light umber. And then you can slightly line around a little bit, but definitely get the base of all your stems with this color. Just add a little of that brown. Put some on the curl. Okay, I need to take off those pencil crumbs. And remember the base of the stems. Make sure and get those. And then you have these little curls. The ends of the curls, you can make them a little larger, like a little teardrop at the end. Okay. So that's pretty much it for working on our stems. You're just adding the brown here and there, and then definitely at the base of all your flowers. Okay, and then go back to your leaves here, and you can repeat your shading at the base of each leaf. It doesn't require a lot. It's just a little touch of color down at the base. So you can just kind of do this kind of thing, blend into the green on each leaf. Blend, blend, blend. Okay. And then we have a little bit of lining left to do. So we're going to go to our yellow flowers and make sure you have a nice sharp pencil. And we're going to slightly line around our yellow flowers. You don't need to outline the whole thing, but just kind of slightly line around portions of that yellow flower. It helps clarify it and make it more viewable above the background. Okay. And then this one over here. So a little bit of lining around each yellow flower. And then also you have these blue flower petals. Let's put some lining around those. Like so. And go ahead and line around the center of the flower too. So work on each blue flower that way. Around the center. Okay. I'm sharpening my pencil again. I have to show you something I got, which I just totally am in love with. It's so cute. I got it in honor of doing this project. It is a little keychain and it's a strawberry and it has little beads on it and it has a bell inside. Isn't that adorable? It's it's just felt. It's just felt made into the form of a strawberry with beads. I'm sure it was all hand done, so that would take forever to do all those little beads, but I thought it was so charming and it reminded me of this project. A little strawberry try. Just it's my strawberry charm. I just have it out here. You know, it would be cute. This is kind of a cute idea. You just take a little charm and you put it over your pencil and hang it from your pencil holder or from one of the pencils on your pencil holder. Kind of a fun way to display it. A little strawberry bell. This is the time of year. Have you had your strawberries yet this year? Okay, let's go ahead and line around our little purple flowers. You can line around each petal. Just lightly do that. Bring them to a point. Go. And then you're going to do a little bit of repeat of shading right in between the petals. So just return and repeat some of that shading there, but don't go too dark. It's just enough to say it's a little darker in this area here. So just a tad of shading in between those petals. And let's go to the other one. It's the same thing over there. There we go. And a little shading in between. feel like I need a little color there. Okay, so that helps define that a little better. So we have just a few more steps with our light umber pencil, and then we'll move into our sepia. And a sepia pencil will be doing a lot of repeat of what we did with our light umber pencil, but not as much. We won't be lining completely around everything, is what I'm trying to say. So we're going to line around our strawberries, give them some definition. Get my plastic thing up there. Oh, our hearts too. Make sure and add some line work around your hearts. Isn't it cute, Cheryl? I just love that little strawberry. I thought, sometimes it's fun like that to pair things up that are matching, and that just matched it so well. I was like, sold. I'll take that one. I'll take that little strawberry home with me. Okay, so you're lining around the hearts and the strawberries. Okay, we did that. We're gonna do a little shading in between some of these little flower petals on our blue flowers. So you don't have to do every one, but the ones that are slightly open, work on those. A little bit of shading in between those petals. Let it fade into the background. Okay. On each blue flower, just a little bit of shading around those petals or in between the petals, best in between the petals. Okay. I'm just making sure I got everything done with my light umber pencil. Okay, I think we did. I think we're good. Good, good. Okay, we can move to our sepia pencil, which is that dark brown. And if you're wondering why I layer so many different colors sometimes, it really does help to have the two, the light umber and the dark. It just helps bring some more dimension to it. It's like more life. It looks almost stale if you pair up colors that are light and dark, and it just gets too dark too fast. So this is kind of a gradual build up into our dark, and it just I don't know even know how to describe it. It just brings more to your painting. It is a little bit of a process, and you have to be patient with that part, but it really pays off in the end to have those different colors going on. Okay. With our sepia pencil, we'll go in and repeat a lot of what we've already done, but we won't work out as far with this pencil. Just want to check this out here. Okay. If you get a chance, please give me a thumbs up, a like. And then also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, this is a great time to do it. Go subscribe, and then you'll know what's going on when I will be on. It gives you little notifications that, oh, Erica's on. You know, it's a good way to stay in touch of what's going on here. The Erica Joanne art area. Okay, we're just going to start from the left side and move to the right. If you are left-handed, you can just turn your piece around and go in the same direction. Okay, so let's start on with this flower. I'm going to take this pencil and deepen some of the lines around it. I don't have to outline everything. I just want to add some definition, but if I do a dark outline around everything, it can almost change it into like a color book look. So I'm not going to do that. I just want a little bit here and there. Not a full outline. Okay, I'm going to repeat some of my shading right in the darkest areas. So just a tiny bit right in here. A little bit of a repeat of shading to clarify. And then I'm going to darken the stem right up against the flower. Okay. Now we'll take our sepia and just here and there work on the stem. I'm not going to outline everything, just in the darkest areas. And then also our little vein lines, maybe deepen some of those so they can be seen a little more. And a little bit more around our yellow flower here. So I'm not outlining everything, just here and there. And a little bit around our heart. I'm going to repeat my shading right here on the left section of that heart. Just deepen that up a little bit. Okay. Okay, we're moving on over. So we're going into this first strawberry, a little bit of shading, not shading, lining at the base of that stem. Over here. A little bit of lining around the bottom of the strawberry. And then let's darken the little teardrop at the end of our swirl. And the base of the large strawberry, the stem there. You can go ahead and line around some of these darker leaves just in the center area there where they meet. Do that on both. We'll be highlighting those with paint later on. And going down to this little blue flower, a little bit of line work in between. Around the center. Okay. And down at the bottom of the strawberries. I was gonna tell you this couple that lives on a ship, they also have a few businesses, and so they run those from the ship. They have their internet. I guess that's what I was gonna say, it includes their internet. They get a little housekeeping too. Okay, I'm continuing down. I lined slightly around this large strawberry. I'm just concentrating on the darker areas of that strawberry. Okay. And keep moving here. I am repeating, here and there, right? The darkest areas of my leaves, but it's just a touch of color. You don't have to overdo it. Oops, it went outside the line. Good thing it's erasable. Okay. One last thing we want to do is go back and uh, do our repeat of shading on the bottom of our strawberries. Once we get everything repeated, let's go back to our strawberries and do a little shading at the bottom of each one. We'll repeat. Deepen that shade. So just doesn't go, it's pretty quick as you work across there. On each strawberry, just a little shading at the bottom there. Another person I follow on social media is a man named George. I think it's George P. Uh, PNW. So George from the Pacific Northwest, and he reviews restaurants and different venues and things around the Puget Sound or the Pacific Northwest. And he comes up with the coolest stuff. I'm excited. There is a restaurant in Seattle that is a Indian buffet. And he says they have the best butter chicken ever. And they have a nice restaurant. They have this thing, I don't know if they have it in your area or not, but in our area, they have this thing where they rate the restaurant. So they'll, visit the restaurant and they'll give it a rating. And they're required by law to post the rating on the window as you come in through the front door. You can see the rating and it will say it will say good, fair. Well, let's see, it starts with fair, I think. Fair, good, and better, best, or something like that. And then it gives like a rating from like 1 to 10, I think. And why, what things they pass. I mean, it's pretty specific. You can learn all about that restaurant from the rating that's on the front door. And so that's kind of nice to see when you go in a restaurant. Although I do feel bad for any restaurants that didn't get a good rating. That would be awkward. All right. Okay, so we got, I think, all our lining and our shading done with our color pencils. Make sure everything's wiped down nicely, and we can set them with the Fast Drying Glaze Medium next, and then we'll move into adding highlights. Okay, I'm going to pull out the camera so that you can see the whole thing better. Okay, so that's where we're at so far. This is our progress. The dark on the, so Cheryl says the dark on the flower on the far right. Okay, I just got that, I think. Yeah, I just worked on that. With your sepia, get all that, the darkness part on it. Oh, is it this one maybe? Are you talking about the blue one? Yeah, it looks like I didn't get that done. Thank you. Okay. All righty. Make sure it's nice and wiped clean. And then you'll want a little mediums dish. And you'll want your fast drying glazed medium. This is a light sealer that I use to set my paint. It comes in different sizes. It comes in a smaller size and then a larger size. Okay, I'm going to put that in my mediums dish. And we're going to gently put this over our piece. It dries just like acrylics. It goes pretty quickly. You want a soft brush to apply it with. I use the Josanya 3/4 inch wash brush. This seems to work well for the size of pieces that I get. So I just get this size and it works really good. If you have a bigger piece, you might want a bigger brush, and they do come in different sizes. So this is a 3/4 inch. I know they make a 1 inch, and I think they even go bigger than that. So just know that's available to you. Okay. So we're going to just gently, don't have any water in your brush. The first number one rule, no water. You're just taking your dry brush and putting right into your medium, wiping it off here. And then let's start out on the bottom edge here, this purple edge, and just gently pull that medium across. You don't want to overwork it or it will smear your pencil. So you're going to just gently pull the medium over your piece. Okay. And then you can go over the brown area here. This will set the paint too. It does both. It sets the paint and the pencil at the same time. You do want to set your paint too. I don't know if you knew that, but you do want to set your paint because when you go to varnish, if it's not set already, it will soak up all your varnish, and then the varnish has a hard time going on smoothly. So, because it will just soak up all the moisture into your piece, or your piece will soak up all the moisture of the varnish, and then it won't move. It will just get gummy. So always have a barrier coat of the Fast Drying Glaze Medium over your piece that will set both your pencils and your paint. And I just see how I just put one delicate coat over the whole thing. When that's dry, well, I could go ahead and do the sides here. But when all that's dry, I'll do the back too. Because like I said, you do want to set both the paint and the color pencils. Okay, I guess I could turn it around and do the back too. Let's do that. Get all sides done. This will make it so when you go to add more highlights on your piece, and if you make a mistake, you can easily pull up those mistakes without disturbing what you've already done, all the progress you made. You don't want to pull up any of that colored pencil, right? So we want to set everything before we move on into adding more paint to our piece because we have paint sandwiched. Or let's see, it's it's like the paint is the bun. Your pencils are the meat. Okay, so your pencils are sandwiched by paint. Rinse out your brush and take out the moisture. Now, this would be just your first, like rinse of your brush. Then at the end of the day, you do need to wash your brush out really good with some soap and water so you can get everything out. But I do like, rinses in between my colors and stuff. And then when I'm all done, at the end of the day, I will go and wash my brushes. Okay. Let's see here. I'm thinking. We do need to sand some more. And I think we'll go ahead and sand when we're all done with our highlighting. We'll do some sanding at the very end and then um, finish it off. So, okay, let's let that dry for a minute. If you need to catch up, this is your chance. Thank you, Cheryl. It's fun. It's fun to create. Now it's in the dark stage. I'm going to show you. Like, see, it's kind of in the dark stage. I call this the ugly stage because it kind of looks like it's not quite done, right? Doesn't look quite done. I'm just gonna pull up and get some pooling of some of your medium. So I'm just gonna go back in and just fix that. I wanna make sure I don't have like little bubbles going on. Okay. All right. I was gonna show you. So that's your dark stage, but it gets lighter. See how much lighter it gets when you put your highlights in? It just makes such a difference. So just hang in with me. We're almost there. Mm, okay. Now I'll put this down when it's dry. It's not quite there. Maybe I'll pull up my blow dryer. It's right here. Definitely want it dry on the back. Almost there. Okay, that's much better. Now you will have some sheen from the fast drying glaze medium. That's normal. I like to use the matte varnish to finish it off, and that takes the sheen right off. You won't have that sheen going on later. So I hope you're enjoying this. And the little companion piece, if you purchase that with the Bristol butterfly. Love that little butterfly. So cute. So a lot of these palette colors are the same as the Bristol butterfly. Okay, so we have a few mixes that we need. We have like the green mix, the blue mix, and some different colors to do our highlighting. We're going to start out with our green mix and we're going to highlight all our leaves. Okay, so for the green mix, we do need a few colors here. And if you're wondering what those mixes are, it's at the front of your packet, the page 1 of your instructions. The green mix is 1-to-1 warm white and pine green. And I'm just going to pull this out and use this today. So 1-to-1 of my pine green, touch of that, maybe a little more there. And then your warm white. Oops, that's a little bit much. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to take some of this white out and put it in the next slot because I don't need that much. And mix these two together. Just a little brush mix. You're going to create a lighter green. And bring our paper towel here. Go ahead and wet your paper towel a little bit with some water. Okay, and then that's where you're going to wipe off your paint in that little wet spot on your paper towel. Okay, so you want just a hint of paint on your brush, like so. And that's the color that we're going to add to our small leaves to highlight them. Okay, we'll make sure everything's nice and dry. I'm going to pull it up like this so you can kind of see it at an angle and you won't see that sheen so much. So you're going to add a highlight to the tips of the leaves. I have just a touch of paint on my brush. My brush is slightly damp, not drippy. It's just a tiny bit of water in there just to help some flow. I'm going to work where I want it to be brightest first. So I always start there first. And that area I do want to end up being opaque. That's my brightest part of my highlight. I want that to be opaque. You won't get it in the first coat. We're going to do a couple coats here. You're going to pull the color down and lighten up on your pressure as you pull it down the leaf. And so it should just fade right into your shading. So that's my first coat. You can go back in with a little more paint and start out where it's brightest and do that second layer. Bring it down into your shading a little bit. And remember, at the top where it's brightest, it's going to be more opaque. And then as you bring it down, it should lighten up and fade as it goes over your shading. A touch. You see that? I'm going to bring this in closer. Okay. My mouse is not working. Okay, come on, work. All right. Okay, so see that? It's got a little bit of opaqueness at the tip and then it fades down into that petal. So I'm going to keep pulling from this little area right here. I can add enough paint to my brush to start another highlight. Okay, same thing. First layer. This is called damp dry brushing. First layer. The first layer is somewhat transparent and a little bit um, sketchy. It doesn't look very smooth sometimes. Into the second or third layer, it starts looking better. Here's my second layer. I probably could get away with just 2 layers. It's brighter at the tip and then fades as it comes down over the rest of the leaf. Okay. And ever so often, you might need to pick up paint from your palette, pull it back over your paper towel. Always go to your paper towel first before you come to your piece. We're going to start at the tip again. Pull that color down. Yeah, it's about 2 layers, and it's different for every color. Some colors you need more layers, some colors you need less. It really is all dependent on that color and how it's coming down over your piece. Okay, so that's enough for that. See how it's bringing those leaves to life? I just love it. I love the damp dry brushing. It really does help. Okay, just turn your piece as you need to, and always use your pinky to help steady your hand as you work. Remember to get that lighter touch, or to get it to fade, just use a lighter touch on your brush. Just little delicate strokes, and then especially light when you come to that area where you want it to be the lightest, less pressure. Okay, I'm just working across, working on all those leaves, those little green leaves. Using a little round brush. Okay, we're done with the leaves on that end. We'll start up on this end now. I saw this example of a vendor, an art vendor, or art person that did crafts fairs and stuff. And instead of putting prices on her pieces, she put the hours of work that she put into it. So, like, this piece took me 5 hours, or this piece took me 10 hours. What do you want to pay for it? I thought that's pretty clever. Kind of give people a feel for how much time it takes to do something. Mhm. Okay. One more leaf. There's a little one right here. Okay. All righty, you got those done. Joyce says, whenever I make something and show it to someone, they always ask how long did it take to make it. Oh, that's good. That's very nice of them to think that way and ask you that because it does take time to make things. Okay, our next color is warm white. We're just going to take and add warm white to our dirty brush. So you can just take your green, add it to your brush a little bit there, and then add some warm white to that brush. And go back to your little area on your paper towel and just mix that together, and it will lighten up the color. We're going to return to all those leaves and add a tiny bit of that highlight on the tips of those leaves. So we're just going to brighten the highlights a little bit on each leaf. And when you're going in with the second coat, you really don't need to, you're like using the light value at the tips, just a touch. You don't have to really do too much. It's just enhancing that the brightest part of your highlight. You probably have to reload when you go to the other side. A little bit at the tips. All right, that's enough. Okay, now you can rinse out your brush. Okay, we're going to take our green mix and we're going to work on our dark green leaves. And we're not going to do all of them, we're just going to do some. And you want a little more of your pine green than you want your warm white. So you don't want it as bright as what we did on these leaves. So I'm adding a little more pine green to my palette here. A little bit of warm white. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start over on this small little strawberry here. You can see it. Okay. I'm going to leave this leaf right here free from highlights. I'm not going to do any highlights on that leaf. On these others, though, I'll just add a touch. Darkest at or the brightest at the base of each leaf. Okay, and then I'm going to leave that one free. I'm going to keep it dark. All right, now we'll move on to the next strawberry. I'm going to leave this one right here dark. And I'll work on each other leaf separately, like so. Okay. It's good to do 2 layers. Okay, moving to the next strawberry, I'm gonna leave this top one right here free. I just came up with an inventory system for our packets and our kits. We do have, what we have on the rack, and that helps with our inventory, but, um, we also have things in file folders that like partial packets or partial kits that aren't quite finished. Always something to think about, but I just wanna be a little more organized than I have been, so I'm excited about that. Okay, I'm gonna leave this leaf here free, work on the others. And there we go. And one more. We're gonna go back and repeat the highlights on those 2. So I'm gonna leave this one free. So, yeah, just leave one of those petals free and dark. Can you see that? Now add a little warm white to your brush. Mix it so it's a dirty brush. You can add a little warm white to your dirty brush. We're gonna go back in and brighten some of our highlights. You don't have to do it on every leaf, just a few of them here and there. Maybe I wanna do this one right here. This one, I'm gonna make this brightest. So it's just enhancing. I think I'll leave the others good. They're good the way they are. So just adding a little more of a highlight to some of those leaves. You don't have to do them all, just a few. Think I'll do one here. And then let's see, how about this one right here? Okay, so that's good enough. You see that? Just a few little highlights, extra highlights. Okay, I think that's good enough. And then we'll move on to our blue. Okay, this actually, trying to think if we should do this last. I think we will do it last. I'm just thinking. Okay, let's do all the flowers and the leaves and everything and the strawberries first, and then we'll do the background around everything. So we'll wait on that. So the next color is our purple mix. We want to add some warm white to our purple mix. And our purple mix is, it's 1 part warm white, 2 parts amethyst. So let's see here. 1, 2. Yeah. 1 part warm white, 2 parts amethyst. Like so. A little brush mix. So we're going to add a little bit more warm white to that because we want it to be brighter. So I think it's kind of nice to have just a whole palette worth of warm white there. So you can grab some. So add a touch more warm white to that mix. Okay. I didn't need to mix that much color. It's kind of a lot. Okay, so we're going to just go ahead and do the middle petal at the top. We're going to start in the brightest area, which is at the tippy top of that petal, the middle petal. This is still damp dry brushing. You're starting out in the brightest area. That's going to be a little more opaque. And as you pull it down, use less pressure on your brush and pull it down. It's going to be a little sketchy, the first layer, and let it dry a little bit. And then go in with a second layer. Remember, it's brightest at that top area and opaque, and then pull the color down. So that's what it should look like. You want to do that on the other flower too. Use less pressure as you come down into the petal. Go back in with the second layer. You just wait a few seconds, and then you can go back in with the second layer. And you want it more opaque at the top. And then you can add a little, I just tip my brush in warm white, my dirty brush. Just tip it in warm white like so. And then back over to your paper towel. Take it off. Blend it on your paper towel a little bit. Take that off. And then you're going to go back to those flowers and add a little more of a highlight at the top of those flowers. Let that blend over your previous highlight. If you have any problems with the damp dry brushing technique or maybe shading with a color pencil, please just reach out to me. I can try and help you get through it. You can email me, and my email is on all my packets. It's on everything. But it's basically Erica at ericajoanne.com. So or ask@ericajoanne.com? Okay, we got the purple done. Let's see. Let's use our rose pink to do our strawberries. Oh, I love this one because I love how the strawberries come alive. Oh my goodness, they really do. Okay, so I'm gonna just add a little touch of rose pink to my palette. Don't need much there. Go ahead and mix your brush in it. Get it nice and coated. Take it over to your paper towel. You can add a little water to your paper towel. A little moisture there. Wipe it off so you have a hint of color on your brush. And we're going to start out at the top of the strawberry. So let's start out with the smaller one. So the brightest area is going to be right at the top between the leaves in these areas here. Okay. So just stroke in that highlight. As you come down, lighten up on your pressure of your brush. Go very delicate. Pull the color down and into your shading on your strawberry. So that's the first coat. The first coat looks okay, but it's nice to have that second coat in. So the second coat, you just go back in where you started. Again, pull it down. Lighten up the pressure as you come down. That will help blend it into your shaded areas. And voila, doesn't that look beautiful? I love it. Okay, we're gonna do the next strawberry. We're just gonna go through and do all strawberries like this. Takes 2 coats. You have to reload your brush. Okay, bring it on down. Okay, I'm gonna go back in, do a little bit more here. This is a great way to clean up your lines too around your leaves. Okay. We'll be adding more highlights while we when we, we'll add some more warm white to our dirty brush. Okay, moving on. Bring that highlight down. You can go over your shading. You can pull that over your shading a little bit. I'm going to soften it with my finger there. Okay, that's my first coat. Go in with the second coat. Okay. Now with the did I do this one? I don't know. Doesn't look like I looks like I skipped it. So just get each strawberry done this way. Pull that color down. Go in with a second coat. Okay. Well, it's so nice to be on with you today. I'm a little tired from the weekend. So kind of like, ooh, kind of slow this morning. Okay. The last strawberry. We do have a little bit of highlighting to do on our other red areas, so we'll continue on with those, and then we'll add the warm white to brighten everything up. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go to my hearts now and work on the tip or the top area of each heart. So I told you we have a family reunion coming up, and we're all in charge of a meal or two. And my daughter and I are trying to figure out what to do. And at first she was like, "Oh, let's just do hot dogs. It's just easy." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know. I don't really like hot dogs." So we decided to do foil dinners, and I can see her point. Sometimes it's nice when you're camping just to go simple, because instead of having to clean all the time, I'm just working across all those red areas, those red sections, all the hearts, all the centers of the flowers. So now I got to make sure the campground will let us use a campfire. I'm not sure. I got to call them today. Okay, I think I got all my red areas. Now I'm going to need to add some warm white to that to just return and brighten everything up. So I'm going to add my warm white to my dirty brush. I still have that pink there. So I'm going to add some warm white. Just kind of mix it here. I can take it over here to my, oops. Um, I probably better use a Q-tip to do that. Get that off. I don't need a casualty here. Okay, I'm just mixing the warm white in with my dirty brush. I'm going to return and I'm just going to start over on the far left side and work over. Okay, so let's work on this little heart. We're adding more brightness at the top of that heart there. And now I'm moving into the smallest strawberry on the left, repeating my highlights to brighten them, especially at the top there. Can let that just come down into the rest of your highlight, but really enhance highlight with that. See the difference between that strawberry and that strawberry? Just taking a little more time to add another layer of the brighter color. It makes a big difference. Okay, moving over into the next strawberry. So one of the meals I'm gonna do the Frito bag. Have you guys heard of that? Um, it's the first meal when we all arrive. Most people aren't gonna arrive at the same time, so I thought, okay, we just need something simple and easy, uh, for those that come in later, they can still, have something to eat. So it's basically get those Frito bags, the small ones, and you open it up and you just pour chili over it inside the bag. So it's like walking tacos or walking Fritos. I don't know what it's called, but it's easy and it's good. And then you can add some sour cream, some other little toppings, green onions or just onions, and give them a fork, and there you go. Voila. That's my kind of meal. Okay. Keep working, brightening up those highlights. Doesn't that make a beautiful difference? Just adding a little more warm white to your dirty brush. If your brush is now mine's starting to do this where it's a little dry and it's not wanting to move too much, I'm just going to tip it into my water basin, just a tiny bit on the tip of my brush of water to make it move a little better. Okay. Need a little more warm white in that. Okay. I had my little grandson over last week. It was delightful. I loved every second. And Aubrey was holding him, and she was looking at a cookbook, and he, like lightning fast. I'm not kidding. That kid was lightning fast. He grabbed a page of that cookbook and ripped it out like no one's business. And she was like, "What? How do you do that so fast?" I was like, "Welcome to the world of kids." You just never know. Okay, so let's go ahead and do these flower centers too. A little bit at the top of the flower center. Our hearts. Adding those highlights and shades really bring dimension to the piece. Okay, we have just a little bit more on the next strawberry. You could use a larger brush if you need to, if you don't like using a small brush like this. I do like to use a small brush though, because I can get in those little nooks and crannies. Okay, we are good there. Get all those little areas done. A little bit of a highlight on all the red areas. Now we'll want to add your little seeds, and we're just going to dot those. Maybe we should wait. Let's wait on those, and so you don't have to worry about smearing. Let's work on the yellow areas. We'll do the little yellow flowers next. We are getting closer, you guys. We'll probably have another half an hour and we'll be done. You'll want to put your jewels on and everything yourself. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. It does. Thank you, Kathy. It does take some thought. The layering does. You just got to remember, I need a few coats. I need a few coats because the first coat is iffy. That's how I feel about it. It's a little iffy. The second coat brings it together, and then if you have to, sometimes that third coat makes the difference, but sometimes it's the second coat that makes the difference. So you just want a one-to-one mix of your Turner's yellow and warm white. 1-to-1. Oh, I used yellow deep. I don't want yellow deep. I want Turner's yellow. I used the wrong color. Okay, let's try this again. Yellow deep is pretty bright. It's very, very bright. Okay. You want something like that, a light yellow. Okay. Wipe it out on a paper towel. You're going to just work on some of the top flower petals, and I just work on them separately. And see right here and here, and then I'm going to do actually this one here, and I'm going to skip some and just do one here. So I'm just not all the flower petals have highlights. Okay, let's do all our yellow flowers that way. You can skip some of the petals. Okay, and then this one over here. Okay. Now you want to add warm white to your dirty brush, and we'll brighten up some of those petals. And again, you don't have to brighten every petal. Just pick out about 3 of those highlighted petals. And brighten those up. Fun, huh? I love the look when you do that. Now it makes those doesn't it make those blue flowers look so flat? It's like something's wrong with those blue flowers. They need some dimension too. So we'll work on those next. I gotta find it. I don't see it on my instructions. Where are you? Okay, there we go. Number 3. Okay, let's see. Reading it. Okay. So we'll do the blue flowers and then we'll move into the background. So we're doing a little backwards in my instructions. So you want the blue mix, and that is a 1-to-1 of warm white and colony blue. Warm white, colony blue. 1-to-1. Now you want to mix a little bit more of this because we're going to be working on the background with it too. I'm going to put mine in a different dish so that you can do that like that. 1-to-1. Okay. Now we want to add some warm white to this to brighten it up even more. So you want a bit more warm white. That's our blue mix. Now we want a little more warm white in there. So I'm just adding a dollop. Mix that in. I'm going to add a little more. There we go. Okay. So you want something lighter than your background color. Okay. Taking off the excess paint. And now I want to go over to my paper towel, add some water to your paper towel. Get it moist. Okay. And wipe off the excess paint. And we're going to go in and add some brightness to these little blue flowers. Now, with the petals on these also, you don't need to do each petal. Okay. So we're going to concentrate on a few. And then we want to leave the others alone. So, like so. We will be brightening these with warm white. And you can skip which petals you want. I mean, you can kind of skip around and decide how you want to work that. Okay. Now we want to add more warm white to our mix just to brighten up those petals better. So a little more warm white. Go back and Brighten up those same petals that you added highlights to. Mhm. Now that one's looking a little better, right? It's not so flat. And you can go back in again with more warm white and brighten like 1 or 2 further. I'm just gonna do 2 at the top. Just really brighten that up. So you have several different varying values there. Maybe this one too. Okay. So let's go in and work on this one now. And the third one. Hmm. This one, I'm putting a few more on there. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with a little more warm white, brighten up a few. I have a good dollop of warm white on my brush. That helps a lot, I think. It's like bringing those flowers out of obscurity. They help. That helps a lot. So don't be afraid to put a little brightness here and there. It does help. Okay. All right, we're going to take this blue mix, the one that we mixed up earlier, and we're going to add it to our background. This is really fun to me. I hope it's fun to you too. I love this part because I really think it brings everything together. If I was just to end right there, I just feel like there's something missing, right? There's something not quite finished. So we're going to do that now. You're going to take that blue mix, take some out on a paper towel. Okay, we're going to start. We want our highlight to be brightest in the center and then fade as it goes out. Okay, so it's going to be brightest right in this area and kind of fade out. So, where are we going to start? We're going to start in the middle area here. We're going to work around the strawberries and the vines. Okay, so you're just adding this highlight. So, I'm just kind of stroking it in there. Work around your different elements. It is good to use a small round for this. Okay, and as I pull away, I'm going to use a lighter pressure, and there should be less paint on my brush just naturally because I've used a lot of the paint already in the center of the design. Okay, and as I pull out, I'll just kind of let it stroke out from there, just a lighter and lighter. Okay, something like that. Now, this is our first coat, so it's going to be uneven. It's going to look a little funky. That's okay. It's our first coat. Just know you're going to put a few more coats on. Okay, we're just stroking around our elements. bring that highlight down. Okay, see how that is? Okay, that's just the first coat. It's a little uneven. Don't worry about it. Do not do not fret because we will be going back in with more color. Okay, we're gonna keep going with this. We're working out this way. We want to take this highlight all the way to around where the purple flower is. And it's best to just work in sections, a little bit at a time. Then you don't feel so overwhelmed by it. And you don't have to go exactly right up to the edge of that element. You can leave a little bit of a border. It adds some charm to your piece to do that. Okay, let's kind of smear the edges with my fingers there. Again, first coat is kind of uneven. You'll want to reload your paintbrush. And in some of these areas, you could use a filbert or a smaller oval wash. Like if it comes down into this area, you could use this brush to kind of pull that highlight down into that area. Right. I'm moving over to the right on this design, and then I'll go back and move to the left with the highlight. It's time to add a little more water to my brush, a little more paint. I like this because I love impressionistic painting, and it feels like I'm doing a little bit of that. Not so much on the elements, but in this section, you're just kind of touching this color around, and it does feel that way to me, a little bit of an impressionism going on with this technique. Create the soft background highlights. Okay. Some of it does come down below this leaf here in this area. Okay, bringing it down slightly around my purple flower. Okay, a little bit up here too. I'm going to start sometimes when I want my highlight to be softer and I'm kind of in a soft area, I got to let go some of that paint somewhere because I can't go straight on in that area where it needs to be soft. So I'll start out in a brighter area, just kind of let go of some of that paint, and then I'll move over to the area where I want it to be softer. So that way I don't have as much paint on my brush. See how it's kind of like stroke, stroke, stroke. Okay, so that's our right half of the piece. That's our first layer. We do need a second layer on that. We're going to move over to the other side though and get our first layer going on the whole piece. So remember the middle area is kind of the brightest area. So I'm going to start there. Okay. I was just checking my time. We aren't too far from being done. We have this part to do, our sanding. We do have some sanding to do. Oh, we have to do our dots and a little, some splattering. And then I'll let you loose and you can do your own rhinestones, your own varnishing. I hope you're enjoying this piece. And it brings you some happiness, helps you feel a little happy and hopeful when you look at these beautiful strawberries and all these beautiful colors. I had my first watermelon the other day and I ate the whole thing. My husband helped me too, but it was so good. It lasted us a few days, but we ate it every day. I think I need another watermelon. That was amazing. I do love the fruits of the season this time of year. Blueberries, oh my word. They were so yummy too. So I'm taking some of it's okay to like take the highlight up to the edge sometimes. Um, you don't have to do it across the whole edge, but just to kind of vary it up, you can do that. Okay. Now I'm going quite kind of quickly, you guys, because I know we got to get through this part. Um, so if you can't keep up, just know that the video will be here and you can go back in and watch it at your own pace. I won't be online. I'm gonna let's see. Oh, I might be skipping a couple weeks, so I won't be online for a little bit, but I'll be back in time and we will continue on with our dog books and other projects. Some of our promotional things that are going on. We have some coming up, more coming up. So know that that is coming down the road for us. Okay. I'm going to bring it down a little further here. All right, a little bit more on this side of the flower. Okay, a little more. Now I'm going to bring the highlight around a little bit underneath the flower, but I want to don't want to cover up all of my shading that I did there. So I'm just going to let that kind of fade. Okay. Okay. So that was my first layer. I'm going to pull this out so you can see the whole thing. First layer. Okay. So you can see we've got that first layer on. Now I'm going to go in and brighten it a little further. I'm going to concentrate on the brightest areas. Okay, that's where mostly I'm going to concentrate because I've already got kind of my edges done with that lighter layer. So let's go back in and do a little more highlighting. So Kathy says, I would love to put this design onto a little plaque hanging from my mailbox for the summer. Oh, that sounds really cute. That would be really cute. Like, have you seen where people make magnets and put them on their mailbox? That would be cute too. A little magnet you could just take off. And you're welcome to zoom up the pattern. If you guys want to do that, you're welcome to do that. Okay, I'm starting out in the middle. This is my second layer. It will go faster because you're not covering as much. You're just covering the brightest areas. We're going to let it fade out sooner than what we did before. Let that fade out a little sooner. But make those brightest highlights more opaque. Okay. And you can see the effect. It makes when you get those brighter highlights done, that second layer, third layer, it makes your highlights that you did previously, it softens them when you look at it. It's like, "Oh, wow, that looks a lot softer than it did before." And it's because you're brightening up those bright highlights. And I'm gonna bring it out a little farther, but I can stop here soon. My bright highlights kind of go down the center, and then these edges are soft. Okay. Just another layer just makes such a big difference. It really softens those edges, and it's just a natural way to do it because the only thing you're doing is adding brighter highlights down the center of the design. It just makes those edges look softer in a natural way. Okay, now we're gonna go to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left. How's everyone doing out there? So, if you're new to me, I'm Erica Joanne from Erica Joanne Art, and I love to do mixed media. I use both color pencils and paint on the same surface and get the best of both worlds. It's a wonderful way to paint. I love it, love it, love it. Once I started doing it, I didn't want to change. I just kept going. Okay, see how that really softens those edges? I just love it. Okay, now we're gonna go in and brighten a little more. I know you guys being patient with me. We do need to add a little more warm white to our dirty brush, brighten it a little more. So I'm just gonna do that right on my paper towel. Just add a little more warm white to your dirty brush. Okay, so the highlight is a step up. And we're gonna go back in and repeat our brightest areas with this lighter highlight. If you need more flow, just add a little more water to your brush to get that flow. If your brush is like, frustrating you, moving along. So we're just gonna go and add some highlights to our highlights. So brighten up those highlights. And it's mostly in the center of our design. This is where you need to have a little extra patience. Sometimes we learn patience by doing artwork. It gives us that opportunity to learn patience because we can't really snap our fingers, right? We have to do a little work. Okay. Let's see, just adding a little brightness there just makes a difference, I think. Okay. I need a little more moisture in my brush. Okay. Almost done with this side, the right side. Does it feel like you're doing a little bit of an impressionism there? I do. I feel like it a little bit. Okay, let's move over to the left side. A little more. Brightening up those areas. Okay. Ooh, I like it. Love it, love it, love it. Pretty, pretty. Okay. We are getting so close, you guys. You have to kind of pick and choose where you want to put these highlights. I tend to like to go kind of down the center, maybe bring a little bit more down in the very center, like this, right in there. So it's a little wider in the center area, but then it thins out. It's a little brighter in this. Okay. I think I'm good. All right, we have a little more to do. Uh, we gotta line our little tendrils that come out of our purple leaves, and that's just done with the warm white. You'll want a liner brush to do that. You want some flow medium if you have it. I like to put on my first, kind of similar to doing my highlights. I like to do my first coat just really thinly and lightly, just to kind of get the feel of where I'm going with it. There is one tendril that starts over here. I'm just going thin because this is my first coat. Liner brush, a little bit of flow medium. Okay. And then my second tendril comes up and winds around. This is my thin layer. Okay. This is not my final destination. This is just getting it on there, trying to get a feel for it. The third one on this left side comes down around like so. Okay. Let's do the same on the other side. We only have two over here. We have one right there, going thin, just very light pressure, and one like that. Okay. All right. Let's go back in with the second coat on this. We can go a little thicker. We can get a little more controlled. Okay. I always like to pull my strokes towards myself. So I'm going to start with this one on the inside, a little more pressure on the tip, and then bring it in and go lighter. I did kind of like miss my line a little bit. Let me try that again. Okay. And then this one, it's got a little curve, and I like to do things in I don't do one stroke together. Some of you can do that. I just have not been able to master that. So I do it in multiple strokes and connect them. So that was my tendril end. Okay, and then bring it down and pull up on that brush at the very end so that it gets thinner and thinner. And sometimes you can do these strokes and you're like, ah, some days are stroke days, some days are not so stroke days. Some days you just kind of like, what did I do there? I didn't do such a good job. That was okay. I'm not really happy with it, but it worked. The beauty of it though is I'll show you what you can do if you don't like it and you don't really feel like wiping it off. Show you a trick. Okay. So I feel like that's kind of thick. Not really happy with it. It's a little thick. Let me show you a trick though. Okay, so you can take that original blue highlight color, and once it's dry, you can just kind of go in there and fix it. Just use your liner brush. So I'm making a little thinner. This day must not be my stroke day. I'm not very good at it today. So I'm just fixing it. Okay, so it's a little thinner there. It's a little better. Let's work on this other one. This one was a little crummy too. I didn't really like that one. So I'll keep working on it. The key is to pull that highlight down so it feels natural. Okay. So right in this area is where I need to fix it. Okay. Line work is all about control. It really is. Learning to control that brush. Okay. Phew. That's a little better. Today wasn't my lining day. Okay, I'm going to go back over here, see if I can't do better with this one. A little more control. I might do better with this one. We'll see. Okay. Okay, that's better. It's thinner. I think I will make it a little thicker down here. There. All righty. I'm gonna just, because I can see that it would be nice to have a little brighter highlight right here. I'm just gonna put a few little more highlights on my petals of my blue flowers. Since I have some warm white, I think it would be nice to add a little more there. Just a touch more. It kind of faded for me, so I'm gonna brighten those up. Maybe a little more on my yellow flowers. Since I have the stark white on these ends, it's good to kind of play with that color a little more in your design. You don't want to just have the stark white down at the corners and nothing inside. So I'm going to brighten up some of my flower petals just to help bounce that color around the design a little more. That's a little bright. Okay. All right. Now let's get those dots done. And we'll sand and then we'll splatter. So dots, sand, splatter. The dots are done with the really light pink. So we're going to take that rose pink and add warm white to it enough so that it's a little lighter than the highlights on our strawberries. So you might have to be the judge of that. Just go ahead and I'm going to show you what I got here going on. I'm just going to mix it on my paper towel. Okay. You could use a little medium stitch for this. It's not bright enough. I want it to be brighter than what I have there. Need a little more warm white. I think I even need more than that. Let's see here. I hope you guys are doing okay. Get it done. I put a little too much there. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, that's where I'm looking at. That's what I want. Something lighter than what I have here. Okay. Okay, you want a stylus that's clean. You want a little bit of flow medium added. And with the flow medium, you can just add that to your palette and or you can put it right in with your mix. I'm just putting it right in with my mix. Okay, clean off your stylus and we're gonna dip and dot, dip and dot. A little more flow medium. Okay. Sometimes you make do. I'm making do right now. Okay, now we go. We're ready. I'm gonna start out with my larger strawberries, and you have the larger dots at the top of the strawberry. And as you work down, you might have a few larger dots, but it they get a little smaller as you go down. There's varying degrees of strawberries, okay? So just know that some are larger, some are bigger, some are smaller. And I go all the way down into the strawberry, okay? You're gonna do that on all the strawberries. Put your little strawberry seeds in the form of dots. I'm a whimsical artist. I have fun just making up my own rules. So my seeds are round. Sometimes seeds can be little dashes, but on this strawberry, they are round. Okay. Right. Isn't that fun? Okay, just got one more little one to do. Right. Okay, what we need to do next is sand, and then we'll do our splatter. With the sanding, we need one of these, like I call them edge sanders. So you need these, but we have to have those dots nice and dry. So I'm going to go ahead and hit mine with some heat, get them dry. cute. It really makes a difference when you get those rhinestones on. So fun. Let's get these dots dry though first. So how are you guys doing? I know we've been going a little faster than usual, but I really wanted to get this done today. So we're whipping through it. Our time element is, we are getting there. We've been on for over 3 hours, so. Okay, get this dry. It's still live. We just got a few more minutes and we'll be done. Okay, make sure they are dry. Do not want the dots to be wet at all. Okay. Okay, for the sanding, I really do a lot of sanding with this. I roughed it up good because I wanted it to have that kind of vintage look. Love that. Sometimes a piece just needs to have a vintage look. I love it. So what you're going to want to do is start off, let's start off on the purple area, and I like start in the corners. Okay, you're going to create a lot of dust. If you feel so, you can wear a mask, or you could do this outside. Okay. And so see how I just really get that edge all sanded there. Okay. Bring it down. I'm going to kind of go lightly, go down, and then I'll do more on this edge. Isn't that pretty? I love it. Okay, all the way across the top. So let's rough it up good. Just going over your piece with a little bit of sanding really makes it nice and smooth, and I love that feeling too. Not just roughing it up, it's so nice to just get it sanded. Okay, same thing on this edge. We're gonna rough it up good. And down at the bottom here. One thing is, when you get this sanding done, make sure to wipe it off really well so that you don't get any of those particles in your varnish, because that can it change the color of your piece. So you want it to have that nice, like, light edge to it. Okay. All right. So that's basically what you do. You can do the same on the back too. Just rough up the back. But on the front, you're going to go to this area where it is brown, and you're going to get the edges done there too. I'm working around this little corner here. I'm putting a little more sanding on that corner, and then down at this corner. Okay, so you can start to see that. Now I'm just going to pick like this area right here. I'm going to do a little extra sanding right there. Make sure it's nice and smooth. Okay, same thing down here. here. A little on that corner. And then you can jump up to the blue area and do the same. Do your corners. And a little bit across the top. You want to make sure and don't like go straight on like this, or you'll take off your painted details. You don't want to do that. So you just want to work on the corners. Do it at an angle. Okay, I think we are good. Let's look and see what it looks like. Gently wipe that up. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Just a nice sanded piece. I'm going to quickly do my back just so I can be done with that. Working in the corners. A little bit more. Okay, final wipe. Get all that off. Okay, I'm going to set that aside and get rid of this dust here. I always have a nice big trash can near my painting area. And I'm going to just brush that right off in the trash can. That is dusty. I do recommend you do this outside. It is very dusty. Okay. Okay. You could take a damp cloth also and wipe it off so you're not getting the dust all in the air. Okay. All right, let me bring you guys back down here so you can see me. Oh, see the whole thing here. There we go. All right. Oh, I have this weird thing. Okay. I had to fix something. Okay, I'm going to pull my, let's see, what color? Espresso. Espresso is what I'm going to use to splatter it. And then I'll leave you guys and you'll be on your own for the rest, but I'll explain as I'm splattering what you need to do next. Okay, espresso is this color, espresso. I'm going to put this right here. A little dollop will do. And you need a splatter brush. This is just a denture brush that I use. And you'll get water on your splatter brush. All this stuff is available on our website. Go ahead and put a little water in it. And you're going to do a test splatter on your palette just to make sure you got it right. And then you can go right to your piece. If it's too watery, the splatter will be really big. If it's not watery enough, your splatter will be really small. Like I got a big dollop there. So I do have excess water in my brush. So I'm going to just take my brush and pat it on my paper towel a little bit, take some of that moisture out, and let's go to our piece. Now you just work with your hand in a vertical motion. If you want to, you could have gloves on if you don't want your hands to get dirty, but just go vertically about 6 inches above your piece and pull on the bristles really slowly. And if you're nice and slow, you have a little more control about what happens with that splatter. And like I said, if it's too big, you can always take a little moisture off on your paper towel. If it's not watery enough, and you want it to be larger, you can add more moisture. I would try not to go too much. No, don't like splatter excessively. Try to just go slowly, and you'll have way more control. Okay, now I'm going to work on the back. I always do my back. You always do finish your back, you guys. It makes a big difference when you do that. That just says, I care. Okay. All right. We are done with our piece. I'm going to rinse off my fingers and let you know what to do next. So I would, because we've added like the highlighting in the background, we've added our splatter, I would definitely put one more layer of fast drying glaze medium down over my piece. It doesn't hurt to add another layer. That's your barrier coat. That's going to make it nice for when you put the varnish down. So you always want a barrier coat when you put varnish down. So put on one more coat of your fast drying glaze medium and let that dry. And then you can varnish. You varnish 3 to 4 coats. Let each coat dry in between. And I like to use the matte varnish so I have a nice matte finish. There is also satin and gloss available if you prefer that. They're all on our website. We use the Josanya paints and mediums. They're wonderful. The varnish is an indoor-outdoor varnish, so it will help your piece last forever, and it will give it a nice UV coating so that your paint won't fade or anything like that. So and then if you have little fingers on your piece, it's not going to ruin your piece. So it's always good to take that little extra step and make it like more of an heirloom piece. It'll be something you can pass on. It'll be great. So use your varnish, and then once all that's dry, then you can use PVA glue to add all your little rhinestones. If you want to put buttons on it or whatever you want to do to it, with all those little embellishments, it's so fun. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys. If you have any questions, you can always email me. And again, like and subscribe our channel. It helps us so much. This is where we're going with it, is YouTube. So we really could use your support. We are looking to get about 1,000 subscribers. That would be so great if we had 1,000 subscribers. So please like and subscribe and enjoy. I hope you had fun with the strawberry summer. This was our third part. So there are 3 parts. Just go look through our videos. You'll find part 1 and part 2 there too. All right. If you like what I do, I'm on Thursdays and in the morning for now, but I will be skipping a couple weeks. So just know that, be watching for my emails. I do need to skip a couple weeks and then I'll be back on. So we'll see you again here soon, later in July. And for now, You guys have a wonderful 4th of July. I hope you have fun with friends or family, and toodaloo. Talk to you soon. Bye now.